Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, October the 12th edition of Coffee with Doc. Glad you joined us this morning or this afternoon. Wherever you happen to be and whatever you happen to be drinking or sipping, we're glad that you're with us this morning. And our prayers have been up for our folks, our friends down in Louisiana over the weekend and starting Friday. When Hurricane Delta moved in, we've been praying for you guys and continue to do that. We're going to start this morning on just the next section of Colossians chapter 2, which is going to begin with verse 16. But I thought what I'd do this morning is I want to go back and I want to introduce this particular section by going back, just backtracking just a little bit. And hopefully these sessions this week won't be quite as long as they have been, maybe a little bit more abbreviated. Of course, they won't be if I don't get into it. But in order to do this, we've been talking about the truth about a lot of different things. The truth about you last week, the truth about the church the week before. And as I said on those 2 weeks, I want to say again, if you're having trouble finding it, please write and let me know, and I'll see what I can do. We're trying to do it on 3 different platforms, on Facebook, on my Facebook Morning Coffee with Doc page, and also on YouTube, and then I try to transform them all over to here. So some way, somehow, you can find it if you want to hear it enough. If you're hungry enough and want a meal, maybe you can make a meal out of this if you can find it. But if you can't, please let me know. I'm doing everything that I know how to be able to make it easier for you. But today, to talk about the truth of what we're going to talk about this week in verses 16 through 23, which is the truth of reality. And there's very little of that to go around anymore. There's very little that we hear on the news, that we read on the internet or anywhere else that you could classify as truth, as reality. That's why so many people call it the fake media or, a false report or something like that. Now, that is nothing new. False words have been spoken throughout history. Untruths have been spoken throughout history. People have lied throughout history. And do you know why? Because the Bible tells us that the devil is the father of lies. He's always been about that. From the first day in the garden, when he said to dear Eve, sweet Eve, has God really said? Planning doubt, questioning the reality of what God has said to us. And so that's what we're going to be talking about this week. But I want us to go back, and it may take 2 days to do this. But I want us to go back and look again at Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8. Because that's the whole thing that this section, verses 16 through 23, are going to hang on. And in Colossians chapter 2 and verse 8, thinking about the truth about our reality, listen to what Paul said to the Colossian believers and to us. In verse 8, he said, "See to it that no one takes you captive through hollow and deceptive philosophy, which depends on human tradition and the elemental spiritual forces of this world rather than on Christ." Now, let's go back and look at that first sentence again. See to it that no one takes you captive. Now, the word that he uses here from the Koine Greek is the word blepo, and it's translated see to it, or the actual meaning of it is be aware and watch and be continually observant. Somebody always needs to be standing on the watch and be ready at all times. Look everywhere. Make sure somebody's got you six. Look everywhere and make sure. That's what he's saying when he uses the word blepo. He's saying be sure and be sure continually. In other words, it depends on us. We have to be careful what we hear and what we repeat to make sure what we are repeating is the truth. Now, I've been guilty sometimes of posting something on a social media, for example, that I didn't check out, and I've been embarrassed and caught by that before. I do try to check them out now and at least get the source correct. But he's not talking so much about fact checkers on Facebook. What he's talking about is you be on your guard and see to it that nobody, and when he says nobody, that means any kind of teacher, see to it that no one takes you captive. Blepo, watch continually. And then that second word there that we need to pay attention to is when he says, see to it that no one takes you captive. That word in the Koine Greek is sulagogeo, and it literally is an army term. It means to conquer and to capture, and literally to carry away as plunder. So he said, always be on your watch, because somebody is trying to conquer your mind, trying to capture your mind, and more than anything else, to carry you back into the slavery that Christ brought you out of. So he said, you have been set free. So be on your watch all the time that you don't get drugged back into bondage. You know, human philosophy is both hollow, empty, and it is deceptive. And I believe with all my heart that's what one political party is trying to do right now. They're saying that if you support the Republican ticket, or if you support our present president, that you are not compassionate, that you are somehow racist, that you are somehow a white supremacist. That is hollow, empty, human, philosophical dribble. But you see, that kind of thing not only happens in the secular culture, it's happening right now under the umbrella of the church. And it's always that you need more of this or more of that. You need more of everything other than all of Christ. And so Paul is arguing here against, in chapter 2, he's arguing here against the philosophy, the human ideal, that you need more than Jesus, that he's just not enough. And I'm here to tell you, Christ is all I need. Christ is all I need. Now let me stop right there, and we'll pick up in the morning and maybe get into this a little bit. But the one thing I want to leave you with today, going into tomorrow's study of verses 6 through 23, the truth about your reality, is the reality is, and we've said it before, but I'll say it again because he repeats it. He sets up this whole segment with this: see to it, make sure, watch, guard your mind, so that nobody, I don't care who they are or who they represent or how many times they use the Bible, don't let anyone take you captive and back into bondage, because that's nothing but empty, hollow, and deceptive human philosophy and human tradition and elemental spiritual forces rather than on Christ. Christ is all you need. You rest on that again. I know I've repeated it over and over, but you can't say it too much. If it's worth hearing one time, it's worth hearing twice or three times. So think on it tonight, and we'll come in here tomorrow, and we'll talk about the truth about reality. Y'all have a great night tonight. We'll see you in the morning.